Hi everyone, Emily from Forbes here, and thank you for joining me on today's episode of Seat of Power. I'm sitting here with Craig Kielburger, who is a social activist, a founder of We, author, speaker, all of the above, and I'm so excited to chat with you.
The pleasure's mine. Thanks for the invitation.
Here. So you're having a really big week right now, right?
It is a very fun week indeed. Actually, just yesterday we hosted We Day UN. So in partnership with groups like UN Women and UN AIDS, etc., we had over 200,000 students across the tri-state region study for the past academic year about global issues and engage in service, and then we rewarded them by hosting a giant event at Madison Square Garden, the theater there, to celebrate the power of youth to make a difference.
It's amazing.
It was a heck of a lot of fun.
So you have all these kids. Let's go back a little bit to the origin of your movement, and you've been doing this for about 20 years now?
Yeah,
almost?
indeed, 23 years.
Wow. So what made you start with kids?
Because I was a kid. Yes, absolutely. So when I was 12 years old, one morning I read a story about child labor. It got me pretty upset, and I started calling charities and saying I want to help. And I kept hearing the same thing. They said, well, send money. Well, I'm 12. I don't have a lot of money to send. And one group actually said to me, do you know where your parents keep their credit card? Then that's how you can help. And that was the traditional old-fashioned model of charity. You do your one-time donation, one-time act of volunteerism. And so we said, no, we want to change this. We want to make doing good doable. And that became our slogan, to make doing good doable. So we create opportunities for schools. So we now have We Schools that runs in 15,000 schools, creating service learning programs. We Families, so how parents can engage kids and involve in the community. So in total, 3.8 million people get involved with us every year. We Day that celebrates all the service. And something called Me to We. It's a social enterprise, and it funds what we do through products and services that are socially responsible. So all of it comes together to create these daily menus, very simple, easy ways that people can make the world a better place.
That's amazing. There's a lot going on there. So for these kids, have you ever checked back in with them to see how sustainable a lot of this work is?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we actually measure success on 3 levels. So those 15,000 schools that run our programs, they can run it in very formal ways. Like, for example, we have a partnership with AP, if you're familiar with AP courses, where you can actually do AP with We Service. So your course is taught in a framework of service. So you are coding while you help nonprofits, or you're learning about biology by testing the water, etc. So they do these very structured service programs. And then you can do it extracurricular. So after school clubs. Now, the total impact of that is every year students do a little over $200 million in dollars raised and hours logged in service. So the teachers validate that, and then, in fact, through the AP program, you get a special notice on your high school transcript, your AP transcript, if you do your service with us. But the heart of your question was, what do they keep doing? So we've actually done longitudinal studies, a group called Mission Measurement. 80% of our alumni keep volunteering, 83% keep giving to charity, but my personal favorite, 79% voted in the last national election if they're over the age of 18 when that study was run. So what we basically found is if you want people to change the world, you've got to start young by building that tradition of service, getting them to care about causes. Then they vote, then they engage, then they become active change makers.
And then they go back and teach at a school someday
Absolutely.
that has partnered with you. So
yes,
it's really,
they become parents or entrepreneurs or business leaders. So, our vision of scale of change is how do we make change in the world, again, a very fundamentally different thing than how we do it now. It isn't that one-time donation. It isn't that one-time act of service, or just when the emergencies come, the crises we see right now, the hurricanes, earthquakes. How do we create a society? How do we create a culture? How do we create a world that's very entrepreneurial for good, and every young person learns that skill set at a very early age and continues on that life journey?
So because you brought them up, I was going to ask about the hurricane, everything that's going on in the world right now. Do you feel a kind of pressure when something like that happens to, how do you react to that?
Yeah, so we'll engage with students, so millions of students involved in service, and we'll give them very simple, tangible ways to make a difference. So for example, right now in partnership with Allstate, one of our corporate partners, there's a one-to-one matching, so what kids raise in support of Houston, that we can match it and make sure those dollars make an impact. So that's a great example. But also we work with young people so that it's not just in times of crisis that they respond, but for example, we'll work with them to ensure that throughout the entire year, we'll partner a school with a sister village around the world. And they'll learn about sustainable development long term. They'll learn about clean water, education, health, and food security, and learn how through that connection they can make sure that the daily crisis of poverty is adjusted, or that the daily realities of hunger, or the daily realities of those crises that often don't make the news. But those young people adopt a sister village, learn about development, and they can even visit their sister village, and that helps that global change-making spirit.
It's every day. It's not just when there's disaster relief needed.
Yeah, and that was the very message on, at the stage at We Day yesterday, where we had world leaders get up there and they were putting a very tangible message, but the tangible message was we need to act every day.
Mm-hmm. And so you've worked with a lot of world leaders. Who has been your favorite to work with?
Oh my goodness. Well, so I'm a little biased at the moment because he just joined us. Actually, I'll give you two who were with us yesterday. One is our Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. In fact, before he was the Prime Minister, before he was a politician, he was a teacher. And so even back then he was involved in our work. So that's true dedication. He's hosted We Day, he's been deeply involved. Another who joined us was President Sirleaf Johnson, current president of Liberia, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and she gave this powerful address on women's rights. And so when you look just, yesterday we had thousands of students, we had these world leaders, Ambassador Andrew Young, Chelsea Clinton, Whoopi Goldberg, others who joined us. And one of the things I love the most about it is so often when we talk about the seat of power, it's a very dramatic name show. I love the name here. But it's a very dramatic name of who's in the seat of power and who can change things. Our message to kids is that anyone can change things. And so you look at that audience, it was all free for all those kids. Allstate, Unilever, Microsoft, KPMG made it all free. And those kids come to this event. And 73% of those schools are Title I eligible, so free or reduced lunch. So kids from tough backgrounds, they're the change makers, they're volunteering, and they get to sit there with world leaders and be in their seat of power as they hear this inspiring message about making a difference.
And there's not much more direct contact than you can get. 6,000 people, that's a big group, but it's not that big when you're sitting there listening to Prime Minister of Canada speak.
Well, absolutely. And especially when you look, in fact, in the audience, it wasn't only these young people and the teachers that came with them, but we actually had members of Parliament, members of Congress, UN delegates sitting among them. And I have to think why they were there is they needed a little dose of inspiration. What's going on in the UN? They're like, I want to go to the next generation because they've got stuff going on that's making a positive change in the world.
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to talk about a little bit is social media because
because we're on it right now.
We are, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. And because you have a pretty strong social media presence and I've noticed, looking back at some of the past events you've had, you work a lot with celebrities and young celebrities, and
Absolutely.
They have very strong social media presences. So can you talk a little bit about the decision to partner with people? I know you've worked with Selena Gomez, or some people who have massive footprints, and how you select them, and what does that do for you guys?
Well, it's interesting. So this We Day, we do 17 We Days a year. This one had world leaders, so it was actually a smaller social media presence, believe it or not, than normal, which is ironic to say. But our previous one was We Day in Los Angeles, where just the talent at the event, their collective social media followers were 300 million. So when you look at that platform, like the We movement, our organization, if you ask most adults, I think some might know the We organization, but if they're parents, you ask the average adult the We organization, they've honestly probably never heard of it. But then you ask millions upon millions of young people who engage with us via people like Lily Singh, who is just with us in Kenya, who, for those who don't know, is one of the most followed YouTubers in the world.
She's on the Forbes 30 under 30 list.
There you go,
we
absolutely.
Know her.
So, or people like Selena Gomez, as you mentioned, who hosts multiple We Days for us, and her she's the largest followed Instagram follower in the world now, or who follow her. So you look at her amplification engine, or even the fact that just on Facebook alone, we've got about 3.5 million followers who engage with our content on a high frequency basis and take positive action. It is unbelievable, that megaphone as we're sitting here bypassing some of the more traditional conventional media routes and having a direct conversation.
Absolutely. So with that though, those huge microphones, are you worried about the wrong message getting across? Are you worried about something going viral that maybe shouldn't go viral? Or, I think a lot of times people are engaging with social without actually acting on the ground.
Yeah, it's interesting. My concern isn't that the wrong thing, quote unquote, will go viral. My concern is that people think that a click or a like is an action. And I know we've had this conversation multiple times, and I know I've seen some of your stuff, and so the conversation you've had also. It's how do we leverage a platform, and those same celebrities who have come involved with us have a genuine passion to make a difference. And they often will want to find out, how do you really leverage your platform to do good? So, very tangibly, we'll work with those celebrities and amplify out something like Lily Singh. On her birthday, she decided to share with her followers that she wanted, in lieu of a birthday gift or in lieu of the flood of positive messages, she designed a handmade artisan item with us. It's similar to what I'm wearing. It's handmade by a woman in East Africa. She went to Kenya, she designed it with them, she put it on her platform, and she said, will you support the women in Africa who made this, so providing jobs, and secondly, the proceeds funding development, so helping with solid philanthropy model. What we plan to sell an entire year's worth, we sold in the first day. And we, by the way, we sell millions of these, so this is not a small number. So when you look at the impact, when it's channeled well, that they have, it's enormous. Versus, when we see well-intentioned campaigns that don't have a clear call to action and don't translate, then that's where, just unfortunate the lost opportunity is, because not only do you lose the good opportunity for action, sometimes it's even an inverse effect where people feel they've done good just by that click, and therefore they won't write the letter, sign the petition, give the donation, volunteer the hour, or lean in with the programs.
And there's a lot of that swirling around right now, and there's a lot of people maybe changing their Facebook photo. Does that really do anything? Are they, if you share a tweet, does that really make an impact? So seeing that people are kind of taking that next step with your content is amazing.
Thank you. And that's the very vision. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit back to the early vision.
Okay.
And you're in this with your brother, correct?
Yes, side by side.
So what's it like working with your brother so closely?
A ton of fun. So, gosh, we've been doing this now together for 23 years, and I couldn't imagine any other way. And the beautiful part is we're able to divide and conquer. And so his passion is in the analytics and the finance side. My passion is the opening new offices and growing our program side. And it's this beautiful partnership together. Honestly, I almost couldn't imagine it any other way.
That must be really nice for your parents.
It is. My parents are both school teachers. They're retired, and they're passionate about what we do, and that's it's honestly how we've been able to bring it all together. I think that changing the world so often, we think it's almost like a tax. People treat it as that negative thing that again you got to do during tax season, and write your charitable check and. But this has become, I think, for so many families we work with, part of what they love, genuinely love to do. And their families' service trips. We welcome, like CEOs like Satya Nadella or Sheryl Sandberg or Bobby Kotick or Richard Branson and people like this around the world on service trips with us. And to see them with their kids and with their families and do this type of service work together, that's what changing the world should be all about. It is a passion. It is a life calling.
I can see you're really passionate about it. It's amazing. It's kind of like soaking it up. I'm excited to go do something now.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're having a busy week, but it was great to hear about how this came to be and all that you're doing. And I hope to see a lot of social amplification of it moving forward. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.